Hey everybody, it is me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. Today I am joined by a good friend and repeat guest, Mr. Alex Bailey. Alex is the owner of Blieve Media, which is a local video production and marketing and brand shop. I probably didn't say that as smoothly as I could have, but he does describe his business so eloquently during the episode. So we talked about the success and the growth that his business has seen, things that he's learned over the last about 9 months or so since we last did the episode. We also talked about some camera gear stuff. So for all you creative people and videographers out there, you're going to love this episode. So without further ado, the one and only Mr. Alex Bailey. Hello, Alex Bailey.
Hello.
How are you, sir? Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
You're on deck again, man. This is episode number 2.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you back. And today, because I know you're a little bit, we got to keep this deal on schedule.
Sure.
But what I thought we could do today is I wanted to kind of hone our topic in today on a few areas, right? So we're going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to tell you ahead of time where we might be going, which is one, I'm curious to hear about the growth of your business.
Sure.
And what you've learned over this period of time. 2, maybe we talk a little gear.
Of course.
We can talk cameras and goodies and stuff like that. See what you're using at this point in time. My hope is that young videographers and business people will listen to this and be able to come away learning some of what you've been able to learn over the last period of time.
For sure.
So let's begin there. How's it going? What's been happening over the last half year or so?
Yeah, it's been so right now we're going to our 3rd year of being in business, and a lot's happened. A lot's changed. COVID has changed a lot, obviously. And as you remember, I started my business literally 2 or 3 months before the first round of lockdowns or whatever the case may be. And we had just bought a house, so there was a lot of pressure there, obviously. But honestly, glory to God, like we've grown. Like haven't had a single situation where it's like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen this month, or I don't know how we're going to sustain and keep the business going. We've continuously grown month after month, project after project. And yeah, it's been a blessing, honestly. I have no other explanation for it other than, yeah, we're doing good. So, we're at a stage now of, okay, it's time to scale. We've got to bring some additional hands on deck. And, I work very closely with all my contractors, and we have a somewhat of a full-time / part-time project manager who does all the stuff I don't want to do, such as responding to certain emails or having to be the liaison between the client and the editor. And it's not that I don't want to do those things, but when you wear 10 hats, as sometimes things get lost in translation or the ball gets dropped, and that's why we have a team in place. So we're at that stage now, and I'm super grateful for it, and just hoping for more continued growth and be able to bring more people on.
So is that how you're working? So you've got, let's call them crew and other people that are working with you, and they're contract employees with you per job, right? So like you'll go out and bid a job and think, okay, this is the right crew for this job.
Absolutely. And I have my regulars. To me, they're basically employees because I see you guys all the time. It's the same set of people. We've gone through the trenches together. So, we've grown together in this past year and a half, 2 years. You guys, these people, these individuals, I see them as a part of the team. Like they are Blieve Media. It's not just Alex. So, yes, we have contractors for sure. But we have regulars who, again, they're here pretty much full time. Anytime we go out for a project, whatever the case may be, they get the first phone call. Like, hey, you already know what it is. Remember what happened last time? We got to do that again. There's a level of understanding when it comes to these jobs because we know how we work together. So yeah, it's been good.
What is it that makes the videographer, whatever the correct terminology is, like what inspires you guys? What's the fun for everybody?
The fun part is going from 0 to 100. When a client hands you a blank canvas, essentially, or a problem, and you're like, okay, well, how do we attack this? Where are we going? There's challenges here. Like, how are we going to shoot this? It's a very small space, but we have to make it look big. When those challenges come, I think that's what kind of gets me excited. because I love the before and afters. I love BTS. Like, that's my thing. I love seeing other people's sets and what they do and how they overcome challenges. I love that stuff. So I get excited when there's a problem presented and we've got to use our gear or use our creative, prowess, for, lack of better words, to solve this problem. So when the end result, now we're looking at it and you have no idea where we were coming from in order to get this result. And that makes me excited to see, especially when the client sees it and they're like, okay, this is way better than I thought this was going to actually be. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what we do. So I get excited about that.
That's the best feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
We got into the business, you and I mean, obviously we got into the business at different times, but for similar reasons, I would imagine, which is you want to be able to, and I wanted to be able to put, a creative ability to use in a business setting, right?
Yeah.
To be able to, I didn't want to be a starving artist, and I did the play guitar in the band bartender thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that was cool for a while, but I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. But like those of us that got into this business for that reason, that's the thing that we get excited about, right?
For
It's
sure.
the creating. And you said something that was interesting. I said, what do you guys really like about it? And you're like, it's the ramp up, the 0 to 100, right? Which is what happens when you're on set, right? Like you get there, and listen, you can have the best plan. These are the shots we're going to get. Yep. This is what we're going to do.
Yep.
But it's sort of like, I look at it, it's like a song that has to have a lot of areas for improvisation,
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
And that's what really brings out, the magic is like you go, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then you get rolling.
Yeah. And it just flows. It just flows like and I've been on sets where, like you said, we've had a full game plan. We've got a storyboard. We've got our shot list. We've got all of our gear lined up. We know exactly what we're shooting today. And then it rains, or the client says, hey, you know what? I'd rather go a different direction, in the middle of us being there. And that presents its own sets of challenges, obviously. But, there's just this excitement about saying, hey, look, we've got to pivot. How are we going to do this? And when you see the end result, you're like, okay, this was awesome. This was amazing, because I knew what was stacked up against us and we still executed. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it's a thrill. There's a thrill to it. Knowing that there's time on the line, there's money on the line, there's a whole production going on. We can't afford to reschedule, and still pulling it off. Like, I don't know. It's almost like a runner's high, and then I'm ready for the next one.
Right.
So it's kind of cool.
That's the fun part, and I can understand why you would have somebody that's helping you to delegate some of the other tasks, right? Because yes, getting in the back and forth of like, change this, work on that.
Yeah.
I'd like this. You'll do it.
Yeah.
I've done it. We've all done it a zillion times,
For sure.
right? But it's sort of like you've got to allocate your time to the things that you can make the biggest difference in.
For sure.
And for you or I, the number one time allocation really needs to be seeking new business.
Outreach is
right?
super important.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, you got to be hunting.
Yep.
All the time.
Yep.
And then you've got to be able to lead the execution of what it is. I worked with a guy for years, and I've had a lot of friends say this, there's a lot of like salespeople, right?
Yeah.
They like to kill the bear and throw it over the fence, right? And throwing it over the fence, hang on, I'm going to sneeze. It's coming.
Appreciate the warning, though. Thank you.
I know.
Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. But, it's like in your deal, right? And really, it's the same as been here, too. And, there's been times when we're bigger, smaller, whatever. But, like, you can't just sell it and just somebody else is going to handle it, right? Like, You've got to be able to kill the bear, bring it in, and you've got to be able to lead a team in actually
for sure
skinning and gutting and doing all the work, right?
And even with that, though, there's one of the toughest lessons I had to learn was how to let go, because this is my baby, and not just my bread and butter, for sure, how I survive, but this is something I've wanted for years. To be on my own, starting my own production company and going after it. Like this is something I've always wanted. So now when you tell me, hey, I need you to delegate and give up some parts of the creative process to other people, that's tough. You're asking for a lot right now, but I had to learn that not every, and another videographer said this to me the other day, so I've been using this terminology, not everything needs my special sauce. There are certain things that I can delegate to someone else that you can easily, they can easily take care of it. It's not a big deal. I don't have to be involved, and my time is better spent elsewhere. And to double down on what you're saying, not only is my time better spent elsewhere, but there are some people who do different aspects of this job better than me. Why would I not put our best foot forward by not putting the right person in place? I know I'm not an audio guy. I know that's not my thing. I'm just going to be honest with you. Yes, I can check levels. Yes, I can make sure that the mic's close enough. Ask me to edit afterwards. Ask me, start using terminology about audio and decibels. You lost me.
Right.
It's not my
what is the deal there? Because that is true of almost every cameraman I've ever met.
Yeah, we don't get into this business to worry about audio. Who cares about audio? As long as the image looks great, you know?
Fucking drives me nuts, man. I'm telling you, because like I'm an audio guy first who learned how to run a camera, and it's like, man, I have like, I think, and I'm sure I've told you, like I have double and triple redundancy on audio almost at all times.
I've seen it. Well, you know, we'll go in. I've seen you go in there with the boom plus the lavs as well. Yeah. So no, and
killer mics on the camera,
on top of the cameras as well.
Right. Like if all else fails,
something's got to give, right?
Well, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've had the whole field go down, and unfortunately at the time we had like the tiny little, like the built-in mic on the camera, right? Wow. Which is like the worst thing in the world. Possible. We had shot like a big time dealer group. And came back and all the audio was crap, and all we had was like the tinny echo crap from the camera. And I was like, oh,
talk about an awkward conversation, right?
David doctored it, and we made it work.
Yeah,
yeah. By the grace of God, we made it work. But I mean, the client was like, it sounds a little tinny. Like, no, it happens. I mean, I didn't dare tell them like, oh yeah, we were up there, we charged you for like a 3-day shoot, and we just blew out all the audio by mistake. But yeah, so redundancy, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
You're gonna grow from that.
I'll teach you some of that stuff. But you don't see. But that's the thing. You don't care. You camera guys, you don't care. You guys are just like, is the microphone on somewhere? Okay, good.
Okay, let's roll. Yeah. But that's the beauty of having the team in place, because my best friend happens to also be my audio engineer. Okay, and this is what he does for like a living.
Right.
And I get chewed out all the time. Every time hey, what do you think about this video? He goes, the video's great. Your audio's terrible. Who did this? And I was like, I did. What? And in my mind, I'm like, it sounds great. Like I could hear the person.
The thing I really think is special about my business is that we.
No, it usually sounds kind of like this, where I'm like a mile away from the microphone.
Yeah.
And that's his first question he asked me. Was like, how close was the microphone from the person? Yeah. And I was like, well, I didn't want it to ruin the shot, so I didn't want it to be like too close in.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'm that guy. So that's again why it's important to have a team in place. They'll
well, we've discussed just previously working on projects together. So sure. Alex, I'm gonna help you in that area. Okay?
I appreciate that.
I'm gonna bring my extreme level of years of experience and passion of audio, and I will do it so that you can go, yeah, good. Now somebody else can go do that.
You can pay somebody else for it.
That's right.
Like, you got it. I'll take it.
Dude, it's good to talk like this, because this is the side of the business that is fun.
Yeah.
Brad and I were just talking about a potential new business opportunity, and the guy's like, I'd happily, give you guys a try to work on something. He goes, I just have I've been through a bunch of other people before. And he's like, it's just the same crap. Everybody's got charts and bar graphs and freaking, reports and all this BS, and and it's like, ugh.
I love those clients. I love when they say stuff like that.
Right?
I love it. It's an opportunity.
Yes.
I love it.
It's an opportunity to go, let's set that aside and let me show you what we can do to make you and your business special, right?
Right. Love it. Some people see it as, oh man, like now the pressure's on. I've got to perform different because this guy's already. No. Do what got you here in the first place. Stick to your brand culture. Stick to, the things that you do well, and continue to do those things well.
I spoke on Monday at a media training event. There's a 2.5-day event in Tampa, and I was invited to speak on Monday, and I spoke about the state of affairs in the automotive business. There was like 150 to 170 media professionals, like executives, local sales managers from TV and radio stations, blah, blah, blah. They're all there. And, I gave them a very sobering account of what the retail automotive business was, but I also gave them a very sobering account of their own approach to sales. I was like, listen, you guys, stop selling your schedule. Oh, we put together this great schedule. You got this many spots. Your reach is this. Your frequency is that. Our news program is number one. I'm like, guys, nobody cares.
Nobody cares about that stuff.
Everybody's got their version of it. I'm like, you guys are selling pipe. You're selling a pipe that takes your customer's message to some potential customer.
Right.
You guys have a pipe, and a million other people have a pipe. and you all got different size pipes, and you're all selling the pipe, right? Here's our pipe, and here's where it leads.
Right.
You're all selling that. I'm like, freaking sell an idea that you can put down the pipe, and then why that idea is right and why it will end up with the right people.
Correct.
And we forget this. You don't, because you're more on the like 100% creative side. I know you're doing deliverable as well too.
Yeah.
But those of us on the marketing side, like sometimes we just so easily forget it, and you just get caught up in all the.
And the
your budget's approved. We got this. You got your plan. You got here's the report.
Here's this 80-page
We're getting
proposal. Like, so my thing is this. And for me, and you know, we've talked about this before. I'm a people person first, and then the business comes.
Yeah.
So I found that I have a higher closing rate when I approach you on the human level first, versus hey, let me get in there and try and pitch you. Let me tell you what my business can do for your ROI. Let me tell you what my business can do for your bottom line. Yeah, everyone goes in with that pitch. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about that pitch. No, I go in there and say, hey, let me learn more about you. Tell me about your business. What is it that makes you guys successful? I'll play devil's advocate in some of those meetings. Hey, you have a great idea for this new product. Here are all the holes that I can potentially see where this wouldn't work. Prove to me otherwise. Show that you take interest in your potential clients. And honestly, you're going to win more business that way than going in there with an awesome pitch deck.
Buddy, I shared an idea with you earlier that we're 1,000% in harmony about that.
Absolutely.
What is it? People don't care what you know until they know that you care, right?
That's a good one. I like that.
It's just an old saying, and it's true though.
Yeah.
And at any given time, any one of us has made the mistake of just like selling something, but like,
sure.
I don't even feel like selling is an appropriate terminology anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the world of earning business, I think we've moved past selling.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And I think we've moved into the realm of relationship developing, learning, collaborating, and delivering, right?
Right.
And I think that's really really important, for any of us that are trying to go out there. There's so many people that are selling. I got this and I want to sell it to you, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, I've spent some time understanding you and your business,
right.
and I think I have some things that would really be beneficial to you.
Right.
Let's talk about it and see if this is something that you might be interested in. You're selling, but you're not.
Yeah, but it's not like the direct approach of like, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
No, and I'll give you an anecdote as well that happened recently. I had this client reach out to me about editing. She already had some footage that was shot in blase. She needed it edited. So, we met up for coffee, went over her project, pretty extensive size project in terms of what she needed. And, we sat, it was almost 200 gigs worth of data. So while it's transferring, I was like, hey, what's your URL for your business? Pull up the website. We're going through it. I'm asking all kinds of questions about her service, the service portion of her website, of her business, the products that she's offering and selling. I'm asking all kinds of questions to the point where she almost got annoyed with me. And she said to me, she stopped me in mid-question on one of the questions and said to me, why are you asking so many questions? And I was like, well, I just want to understand your business better. I mean, I'm trying to tell your story, essentially. And if I don't know who you are or what you do, how can I effectively tell that story? And she's like, I've never had a videographer ask that of me before or say that to me before. And just that alone separates, the men from the boys. Like we're not, this is not the, hey, look, content creator, guy or girl with the camera. This is not that. We're giving out solutions. Like we're solving problems that businesses have. And in order for that to happen, I've got to be better at listening than I am at talking and selling and pitching.
Isn't it interesting? As you were just saying that, I just realized like what I already realized, but it crystallized in a different way that the videographer right now really is and can be like the most meaningful frontline connection for a business.
Yep, for sure.
Because there's everybody else could come in, how many digital shops can come in and lay out the digital strategy, right?
Right.
But that can't really give any idea as to what should actually be said.
Right.
Can't create. I mean, we work with a lot of digital companies. We have great relationships with so many of them, and they're all the same in the sense that they are very successful and focused on what they do. But if you say, hey, put together a creative strategy and put together a brand, they just don't know how to do it, right?
Right.
That's not their thing, right? And so, you look at businesses of any size at this point in time, and it's more important than ever that they be able to work with somebody who understands how to tell their story.
Yep.
And the story could be, hey, we've got this on sale for $5.99. Like that might be the story, right? It doesn't always have to be, I wake in the morning to face my passions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just straight up selling shit. And that's the story, and that's okay.
And that's
right?
okay. That's fine.
But somebody's got to be able to put that stuff together.
For sure. And I think, as content creators are a dime a dozen nowadays, I think we get lost in this whole, hey, we've got to make dope stuff. The video's got to look amazing. It's got to be this. And don't get me wrong, quality obviously is important. Mm-hmm. But simultaneously, there are people out there telling better stories on their iPhones versus a full, red camera setup or whatever the case may be. And a client's going to appreciate that more simply because, well, you get it. Like the message you delivered with that iPhone connected with my audience. Mm-hmm. And now you've opened up their palette for me to be able to sell to them easier.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me that guy.
And you're right. And the more simple approach, it's usually people featuring people talking. I mean, it's like, these elaborate, dramatic shots and all that stuff. It's nice, but it's cool. Somebody's got to tell the story, right? Like, and people connect with people. I'm a big proponent of that.
Absolutely.
And it's when you see big brands go into TikTok, almost every one of them, when I see, I scroll past those faster than some of the other stuff, right? Sure. Like I'm more likely to watch the poorly produced thing that whatever they're talking about is more interesting or entertaining than when you hit the freaking Doritos or whatever. And you're like, God, get out of the TikTok. Like somebody's watching that, I guess.
For sure.
I guess, but I blow past that because it's so overproduced. It doesn't feel right for the medium.
And not just that, but you got to think about ad fatigue. It's a real thing. Like, tell me how many times you've been on Instagram and you're scrolling and then an ad pops up. You don't even give it a second to get that first 2 or 3 seconds in to see what it's even about. You've already scrolled past it. Mm-hmm. You're tired of seeing it. So, we're living in a time now where we have to be super intentional about whatever we're putting out there in terms of ads, in terms of content, posts. Have to be super intentional about it because our viewers are seeing on average, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but a million posts every hour. What's going to cause them to stop and actually check you out and see what your business is really about? Especially if I'm on here for entertainment. I'm not here to buy anything. I just want to be entertained. Mm-hmm. So how do you leverage that platform, sell whatever it is you're trying to sell, your product or service, get their attention and engage them? It has to come down to that human connection first, even on platforms such as social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. It's got to be about the people first.
I agree.
Not the camera, not the gear. That stuff is fun. I love that stuff, but it doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't.
But let's talk about it anyway.
Let's talk about it anyways.
Because you from time to time, I'll follow your stories on Instagram or, and you'll have like these funny, like camera gear related like memes and stuff like that. That whenever I see them, I have a little chuckle. And it's just like any pursuit where gear is, I can think of people I know that are way into guns and they've got 7,000 more guns than they need.
Yeah.
Or knives or bicycles or whatever. Me, it's guitars.
Yeah.
Got way more guitars than I need, but quite frankly, I need every one of them.
I need every one of them for sure.
Every one of them has the right thing. And same with camera gear.
Same thing.
So where did you start and where are you at now and what are you liking and what are you not liking?
So where I started off, my very first camera was it was a hybrid. It wasn't quite a point and shoot, but it wasn't quite a DSLR from Fuji. And I bought it for like $150 from Sears back in the day. And that's literally where this whole photography thing started. I was in between jobs. I was waiting for the next one to start and I had a whole month. And there's only so many times you can go to the gym and blase. I needed a hobby, a passion, something. Right. So I bought this camera and I started shooting every little thing. The pictures were terrible, but back in those days, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like this is great. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then a year later, I'm like, okay, this is okay. All right, I think I can see myself doing this long term. So then I invested into Canon. I started with a Canon T2i, and a lot of good stuff came from that camera. Again, I didn't know what I was doing, so that didn't help. But a lot of good content came from that Canon T2i. It was very loyal. And then my dream camera became like a Canon 5D Mark III. Like that's what all the wedding guys were using. That's what all the portrait guys were using. And that was like my dream camera. If I could just get here, my work would be like top notch. I got that camera and the work still was not top notch. And I was like, okay, what am I missing? Then it became a lighting thing. And I bought every piece of lighting gear you can think of. And then after that, it was like, okay, maybe it's an editing thing. Maybe my computer's not fast enough. I don't know. It was always something about the gear that was like, this is holding me back from getting to that next level. And then now at this stage of my business, I realized it was never about the gear. It was always about how you use it, like principles and how you apply them and stuff like that. So, you know, if I can give one piece of advice to anybody starting or anybody in it or already $50,000 in debt, don't buy any more gear. You have enough to succeed, right? Wherever you are, like there's people making content using their phones. So whatever you have is enough, I assure you. But for the other people who like to spend money on gear and all the fun, cool stuff and at NAB every year, yeah, those guys, yeah. So now we're talking Blackmagic, we're talking Red, we're talking Sony.
Well, because I remember because you've been doing photography for us for a while. You've taken all of our headshots for years, and I think when you first did our headshots when we first moved into this space, I think you had a Sony. Yep, I think you had a Sony A7. I don't know if it was S3. I don't know.
R3.
Yeah, you had a Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Right, those photos turned out beautiful. And then I think recently retired. I remember you were like starting with the Blackmagic. Were you using Blackmagic for a little bit?
So yeah, I basically my Sony took a dump in the sea, and I was like, you know what, this is a good time to kind of explore some other.
Did you drop it in the ocean?
No, a wave came and hit me while I was standing in the ocean recording, and there were no waves all day. That was the only reason why I felt comfortable doing it in the first place.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this monster wave came out of nowhere, and it just came up just enough just to splash the bottom of the camera, and that was it. It's salt water on top of that, so that's it. It fried everything on the inside. It started corroding after a while, wouldn't turn back on instantly. So yeah, it cost me almost like $1,000 just to get it repaired. Oof. So yeah, that wasn't fun. But yeah, so when that happened, I was like, you know what, let's explore what else is out there. And I was getting into video at that point in time, and I didn't know any better. I thought 8-bit color on a Sony was like, you know, the upper echelon of cameras. Like, this is it. I rented the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and my life was never the same. I realized that I didn't know anything about color science until I got this camera. And I was like, this is so different from what I've experienced on my Sony. Just being able to push and pull colors, for example, or just the quality of the footage, honestly. So I was like, you know what? That's it. So went Blackmagic. Recently bought, within the last year, we invested in a Red. So we've got a Komodo now.
Yeah, you don't buy a Red, you invest.
You invest in a Red. You are a Red. You know, yeah. It's not one of those things you just buy.
Right.
And that for me was one of my biggest dreams in terms of just gear acquisition for the longest. I was like, if I could just get a Red, my work would be here. You know, back to that whole thing again.
Okay. Now, do you feel that your work has leaped up as a result of going from Blackmagic to Red?
So I'll be completely honest with you. No. I will say it's just a tool at the end of the day, and if you know your lighting, if you know proper exposure, like, you can use anything, you're fine. What I love about the Red compared to my Blackmagic more so is the ergonomics, being able to rig it up the way I want to. It feels comfortable in the hand. You know, the Blackmagic is this gigantic, monstrous Frankenstein of a camera that is just, it doesn't play.
It's like a gigantic DSLR.
It is, and there's nothing pocket about the Pocket 4K, 6K, whatever. There's nothing pocket.
If you had cargo pants, you could slide.
Even then, maybe the front end, the nose or something. But yeah, there's nothing pocketable about it. I love the image. Terrible battery life on the Blackmagic. It's just, there's too much. But the value for what you pay for it and what it produces. Mm-hmm. There's nothing on the market better than that.
Now, you talked about color science. Did that kick you into the world of DaVinci Resolve?
It did. It did.
When is that easy to use? Is it?
It's a learning curve, just like anything else.
Right.
Once you get it, it's like, oh, well, okay, this is not that bad.
Right.
But
do you use that to color grade everything?
Everything. I don't use anything else now for editing. Point blank. Period. DaVinci.
So you cut in DaVinci?
I do everything in DaVinci. Cut, audio production, color. Everything's done in DaVinci.
Interesting.
I don't use Premiere at all anymore. Yeah, Premiere it crashed too often. Mm-hmm. Had just too many bad issues with that, and then After Effects is too much for, it's not practical to use After Effects to do video editing. So
After Effects is like effects. It's not really
you can video edit in there. It's not an issue. However, just the way the timeline is situated, the layers and all that stuff like that, it's more problematic and more of a nuisance than anything else to try and edit a full blown video. in After Effects. I won't get into the nitty gritties with that because there's a lot to talk about there. But
Right.
it's just
Never
too much.
Final Cut. Nobody uses Final Cut. It seems like.
I feel like more of the YouTubers use Final Cut, to be honest with you.
Right,
But like an actual production house,
Yeah.
I don't hear many people talking about Final Cut. But on the new Macs, I think Final Cut is amazing, just because of the M1 chips. So the performance obviously matched with the software. It's chewing through 6K red files like nothing.
Dude, it's just always the case. Whenever you step up and make the investment on something, then the next year something comes out that's like a quarter of the price. We got the towers, and I'm thrilled to have them because they'll bang out a ton of work.
Yeah, for sure,
for a long time, and you can upgrade them all this stuff. But like a half a year later, those M1s came out.
Oh my God!
And you're just like, what are you gonna do? You spent the money. Now you got.
And that's the part that sucks because we've spent our main production laptop now we spent almost $4,000 something like that on them, and now they just came out with the Mac Studios, and I'm like, oh, this one has the M1 Ultra chip that's 14 times faster, and I'm like, damn it, I need that now.
Okay, but it's listen. I mean, I listen. I am not one to give anybody advice on not wanting new gear because I'm constantly like plotting what's the next step, whether it's with the camera stuff, and I'm pretty like there's at this point in time really. There's only a couple little things that I want to add into the mix, but I mean, we got the two A7s, our A7S3s. I got 2 gimbals. I got a drone. I got 4, GoPro, whatever the newest things. We got the C500.
Yep.
I got a Mark IV, camera. Yeah, that I might want to.
Yeah, that one R5 probably. Well, we're not getting into.
Yeah, but that's mirrorless. I got all these like DSLR like regular photo lenses, so I'm thinking about the 1DX.
You get an adapter.
Yeah.
You get an adapter. Well, the 1DX Mark III, I assume you mean.
I don't know, whatever that new bad.
Well, the newest one they have is the R3, and that uses the same RF mount that all the new Canon lenses use. However, there's an adapter piece. The Komodo uses that same RF mount, but I use the EF adapter for it. So I use all my Canon lenses still. And nothing changes. That's what I use.
But it's mirrorless. So what's the difference?
Mirrorless is like there's no shutter from my understanding. So there's nothing like moving.
Right. So it's mirror just like like your iPhone. It's just
but there's other. I don't know. I'm not that technical, but I know that there are some capabilities that the DSLRs just didn't have that the mirrorless gives you, and a much smaller form factor, for example. So I mean, if you're thinking photo, I think the R5 is your logical next step. Maybe even R5C. Just because that one has no record limits on the R5C.
Right.
But it's the same 45 megapixel sensor. You still get 8K. So, I mean, I don't know what you need that for, but if you're going photo.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
I sometimes I have like these old fashioned tendencies, right? So I'm like, I want one really like real photo camera.
Yeah.
Whatever. I guess the point that I was trying to make, I got all this shit. I got a couple little things, and I don't need to add anything in. I don't need anything.
You don't need anything, no.
There's a couple things that, that I would like to get into next, but I mean, I'm dying to just get out and like get back to using it again.
See, and
it's fun.
I'm glad you said that though, because one of the number one things that I realized over the last like 6 months is like, hey, we invested in this red. We bought a 6K Pro, another Blackmagic, just because for the built-in NDs. And we've got an A7 IV now. We've got to pair with the A7S3. Like we've got cameras, got gear, lighting equipment. We've got everything. The 600D, the apertures. We've got it.
Yep,
ready to go. And I'm like, we haven't used this stuff for any of its true potential. Like we haven't shot anything outside of the normal, corporate stuff or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Which is the bulk of my work. But then I was like, what about my passion projects? That I have like a list of things that I want to shoot just for me. And I'm like, I'm not out there using any of this stuff. And I'm like...
Yeah, because, you just get caught up in day to day. But, like, you just got to get practice. It's like, you're right. You have what you need. I have what I need. We have what we need. Like, it's just time to just go out and start doing stuff, right? Just start shooting. Just start shooting. I mean, we live in one of the best places in the world to capture interesting stuff. Like, if you think about South Florida... Fort Lauderdale, to me, more Miami. Like the Miami skyline, the city of Miami is so stunningly beautiful. The uniqueness of the people, the mix of cultures, all these really crazy, cool things. There's so much to film in Miami, without a doubt. So I'm kind of like, I'm scheduling this around. We've talked about it, but like I'm like starting next week. It's just like let's just get out and just go start.
Just shoot and see what comes from it.
Let's just go start shooting some stuff. Like don't even think about why you're doing it. Just do it.
Yeah.
and get good stuff in, because if you don't, another month passes by and you're like,
Right.
what do we do?
Right.
What do we do here?
And we got to keep on growing and evolving. So, look, like I like your thought process on not overthinking. You just get out there and shoot. And at the worst case scenario, you have a ton of great B-roll footage.
Yeah,
to use for something.
Right.
So yeah, I like it.
All right, man. What time is it?
2:14.
Oh.
Yeah, a little time. We're okay.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure, because I know you have to.
Yeah, I got to go pick up the kiddies from school.
I know. It was Sabrina's last day yesterday.
Bittersweet, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. My wife is going to bear a little bit more of the brunt now with both the kids at home. But they leave for Russia in a couple of weeks, so they're gonna.
Okay.
She's got a lot of family help over there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Both kids are going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just gonna be you for 2 months. Holy crap!
That's why I'm fired up to get going.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because like my wife gets on my case about how I'm a workaholic or whatever the case may be. I don't think I am. I've seen way worse than me, but I don't look at it as work. Like I enjoy what I do. So for me, I'm like, you give me 2 months to do whatever. Oh my God, I'm having a field day.
Oh man, I'm gonna be I'm gonna get my health back together, which I've let slide. We're gonna be working. We're gonna be playing music.
Yeah, that's it. That's
what we're gonna do.
The whole house is now like an official man cave for 2 months. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I will miss my family dearly.
For sure.
As I've told my wife, but I would say I'm also gonna enjoy the quiet.
For sure. And this doesn't happen often, so like you got to take it whenever you can. For sure.
Sabrina, on her tooth fell out already.
Ooh,
Yeah,
how old is she now?
She's 4. She's just a little over 4.
And she's already lost a tooth?
Yeah, somebody knocked her on it. Some boy like hit her in the tooth with a car like a way back.
Oh crap! Did you go beat him up or
no? It was they were just playing. But anyway, so it was like it had been a little loose, and then like like a week ago, she's like, it was really getting loose, and she got really excited. She's like, I want my tooth to fall down. I want it to fall down. And it did on Monday when I was away. I came back and now she's got
a little gap.
It's cute. Like that's gonna be there for like 2 years. I don't know when they get new ones, but
yeah. She's got a little ways out, but that's awesome, man. These moments are always awesome to me, these kids.
It was great to see your beautiful family here, on May the Quattro de Mayo or whatever we called that.
May the 4th, yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. All right, Alex. I'm cutting it off right there. I'm doing a hard stop. We covered all the core topics. But I will do this. I'm going to stop and pitch it back to you.
Sure.
Why don't you make some closing statements on your business and where people can find you?
Sure.
How they can hire you to do some great work for their company.
Sure. Are we here? Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, let me button up a little bit. No, so they can find us. We're on Instagram at Blieve Media. That's BLIEVE Media. Obviously on our website at the same blievemedia.com. And our focus is just helping businesses to enhance their ROI essentially. We don't want to change the nature of your business. We just want to better tell your story. And that's really it. We want you to help connect to people and to your audience in a very natural, organic way that also increases your sales. So I think that's my pitch.
Very nice. Well, I will add a big ring of endorsement because Alex, we've worked together for many years. You do great work, but more importantly, you're a great human being. It's always good to spend time with you and talk with you.
Likewise.
And I couldn't recommend you enough for anybody that would consider doing business with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you do consider doing business with me. Appreciate it, Chris.
All right, Alex, man. Always good talking to you.
All right.
We'll do it again.
Be back. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.